Point After Podcast with your host, Julien Barnett.
What is up? What is up, fantasy world? I'm your host, Julien Barnett. Welcome into the Point After Podcast. I have two fantastic analysts on the docket today, starting with my to my left here, DBrown. How you doing today, man?
Dude, I am doing good, ready to kick off this weekend proper, with a couple of fine fellas like yourselves. I got a cold drink on ice right here. I'm ready to do it.
Man, is it? Sorry, I had to cheers to the cold drink on ice. Does it even count as Friday anymore, man? Like, all the days have just meshed together for me. I don't even have a normal schedule anymore. You could tell. The only reason I know it's Friday is because I run this show.
I think we call that the COVID schedule at this point.
100%, man. I'm on the COVID schedule. And, segue into that, how are you doing, Matt? I appreciate you coming on, man.
I'm surviving here. Like you said, it's been a crazy week. It's been a long week. The weekend's around the corner. Man, between podcasting and Twitter and work and kids hockey, it's been a whirlwind here down where I'm at. So I appreciate you guys bringing me on today.
Well, man, you've had a hell of a week. It's been crazy busy for you. Tell me and everybody about some of the stuff you've got going on and then what they can expect moving forward.
Oh, boy. If you head over to the dynastyvipers.com there or head over to the YouTube channel, Dynasty Vipers, we've had an incredible week. Just to kind of go through it, we started off Monday this week with Paul Charchion. You might know him from the guillotineleagues.com. He's one of the original trailblazers here. We talked about the good old days and had his little story. And then on Wednesday, we came back with Liz Loza, maybe the first woman of fantasy football, who's probably smarter than all three of us combined when it comes to fantasy knowledge. Let's be honest. And then today we got another original guy, a four-time Emmy Award winner for news and sports, and that's James Cole. You might recognize him from the NFL Network and now at DirecTV. And in between there, Calvin's been throwing out some Team Spotlight series. So that's kind of what the week's been. I think we've had, I want to say, 6 or 7 shows this week so far. And it's not slowing down. We're hitting March just as hard as we hit February. Some great guests again in the works with another one here. So hopefully I can make that announcement on the show live. I think that'd be fantastic. Give us some hot news coming down the pipeline on Twitter. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, man. Well, that is super exciting. That's a absolutely outstanding lineup, and I've listened to quite a few of those pods, and you guys just are producing fantastic content. So I appreciate you coming on, and if you haven't checked it out, definitely go check it out. I put a link down at the bottom there, so people can go find your guys' website there and find all your pods. So let's get into what we're doing today, guys. Right, we're doing a full first round 32 pick NFL mock draft. We got a couple different ways that this can play out. We're all just gonna basically break down these players and team needs for these NFL teams, and then we'll come to a consensus together. So I'll pull that up for you here, and we can get started. DBrown, I want you to take us away with the 101. I think this is an easy consensus pick for everybody, but I wanted you to just tell everybody why Trevor Lawrence is above and away the best prospect of this draft.
I mean, he is a slam dunk quarterback prospect and falling into the hands of a team that is much needed at the position. I don't think anybody in any mock draft is going to get cute at this point. We've heard the urban connection rumors swirling around, but Trevor Lawrence is the undoubted pick here at the 101. Lock it in for us as a whole right here.
Let's get it. That's an easy first pick for us. Not a whole lot of debate there. Let's lock it in. Number 2, this is...
I'm just going to jump in here real quick. I think that's going to be the pick, but can you tell me, as an NFL fan, play this scenario out. If Russell Wilson gets traded to Dallas then trades Dak to Houston. Houston then trades Watson to Jacksonville, and Jacksonville trades the 101 to Seattle, who then picks Trevor Lawrence.
Whoa. Whoa.
You got a whole bulletin board, man.
Oh man,
What do you got behind that green screen?
You don't want to know what's behind the green screen. Off to the sides, like a bunch of tacks, and they like circle. They got yarns and tacks and all. It's. We got a little bit of everything going here.
All right, so did you want to play that out, Dingus, or?
No, I do think Trevor Lawrence is going to be the pick here. I think we put that across our board. He is the best prospect since Andrew Luck coming out of the draft.
Yeah, really. And the only knock I have on him, and I've heard this from a few people, is just he may have already hit his ceiling. You know what you're getting, and it's fantastic, but how much higher, how much better can you really get? Those are really the only concerns. But if I'm the Jaguars, I'm not hesitating at the 101. I'm taking that pick and building on this franchise player. Let's move on. Number 2, guys. This is an interesting one, right? Because there's a lot of options that the Jets could go here. I was on the Dynasty Islands podcast earlier this week, and we specifically talked about their QB situation, what they got going on. Are they going to keep Darnold? Are they going to draft a guy here? Are they going to trade Darnold and hopefully acquire some more picks? Like there's a lot of things that they could do here. So Matt, I want you to take it away with the number 2 pick. If you're the Jets, who are you taking here?
Okay, so I've got 2 thoughts here. If it was me, I'd be taking the tackle here from Oregon. I would take Penei Sewell here at 2 and keep Sam Darnold in place. And then you've got your bookends there with Sewell and Becton. Then you're set. You've got that line going. But this is not me. We're talking about the Jets here. I think Justin Fields is the better quarterback. I think he will be the better quarterback. I'm not a big fan of Zach Wilson. But word on the street is lots of executives have Zach Wilson ahead of Justin Fields. Therefore, Zach Wilson is the pick to the Jets.
What do you think, DBrown?
Yeah, no, I mean, Matt nailed it. Personally, I don't want to give up on Darnold. I ran a couple of mocks this week. Earlier, I had the Jets passing on Wilson, but with the buzz, and I think Wilson is actually a great fit for that offense. And once again, the intriguingness of getting him on that rookie deal really allows the new management there for the Jets to really, have some flexibility to bring in some free agents to build around the rookie quarterback, rather than having to immediately be faced with the decision of do they want to pay Sam Darnold long term.
Yeah, well, and what's really interesting is that Sam Darnold's 5th-year option has to be claimed by May 3rd, I believe, this year. So that's for next season when the salary cap goes up. And there's a lot behind that, but it's very interesting. Like you basically keep Sam Darnold around for 2 more years, and probably you're going to extend him either long term or then address quarterback position in the draft next year if you have a similar season to this past 2020 season. So I think they could go either way with this. I think the smart thing is to take Penei Sewell and shore up that offensive line. You can literally never have enough offensive line, and this guy is an all elite talent. He would immediately be a difference maker for this offense. So I really like that pick, but I too think they go with Zach Wilson because he is the flashy player. This is New York City we're talking about. They're not going to be okay with the New York Jets losing for year in, year out the way that they have and passing up on a quarterback at number 2. I don't see it happening. So I think they take one of these 2 guys. My pick is Zach Wilson as well.
Lock it in.
Lock it in. Boom. Now, number 3, again, this is really interesting because Miami was, pretty good team this year. And this is actually a trade, I believe, from who traded them this pick?
Houston. Was this one Houston? I believe.
So
this is actually the Laramie
This was in
Tunsil
the Houston
trade,
deal, Laramie Tunsil deal, right. But it's not Houston's pick. Anyways, so they've got this number 3 pick. They also have the 18th pick in this first round. So what are you guys doing here? If you're Miami, are you trading out here, maybe moving back a couple spots, or do you want to go and grab one of these elite talents in Jamar Chase, add a playmaker on the outside, or what do you guys think, Matt? You take it away first here.
I like the irony of you taking Sewell here at the 3 pick. You got rid of Laramie Tunsil and you bring in another tackle. It's cheaper than Tunsil, what he was going with. I think that's a fantastic idea. If you believe that Tua is your quarterback in the future, so let's protect him a little bit. Now, I wanted to go Devonta Smith. I really wanted to give him a former teammate, but I'll tell you what, Devonta Smith's comments that we heard, I know it's the media season right now, and we're going to hear all kinds of rumors, but basically what Devonta Smith said, Mac Jones is better than Tua, and you could paraphrase that how you want. That basically tells me that there's a good chance that Miami goes Jamar Chase with this pick. I would personally trade back and get more because you got some holes on that roster. You're close to contending in that division. You're close to contending for a wild card spot. They were there this year. Yeah. Trade back a few more pieces, but you got another first round pick coming up. So do you really need to trade back? Probably not.
Yeah, well, it really depends on how much they want to secure Chase there, right? Like if they're really in love with this kid, they can take him at the 103, but I don't mind them moving back to the 105, which I think is an option. I think the Bengals could move up to 103 and draft Sewell if he falls to the third pick there. They'd probably just have to compensate them with, maybe a third, maybe a fifth round pick later in the draft or a future second, something like that. So I like that move. I think that, if you can get a left tackle like this at the third, fourth, fifth pick in the NFL draft, if that's going to be the difference maker for your team, I think you got to go for it. So if I'm Miami, that's who I'm taking here because I think he can make a difference for this offensive line. Sneak peek, I have Miami drafting a certain running back later in the beginning of the first round here. So I think that pairing the two of them, they went and built this defense last season. Now they're going to work on their offense throughout the draft. And I would go Sewell here. DBrown?
I actually have the Dolphins taking Jamar Chase here. I do kind of want that alpha weapon for Tua to somebody that he can grow with. I think Chase can come in and be an NFL caliber wide receiver day one. He's the best wide receiver prospect, I think. The home run, similar to Trevor Lawrence. I think Devontae Parker, he's kind of almost already peaked and on his way down, getting Jamar Chase and in there with him, able to learn a couple of things from the veteran before he does move on. And, I'm a big Preston Williams fan myself, but coming off the injury, that wide receiver room is really wide open right now behind the aging Devontae Parker. So I think being able to lock up an elite prospect like this to pair up with your invested quarterback from last offseason is a wise choice here. So I'm not going to overthink it for Miami. I'm going with Jamar Chase.
So I just want to ask you, what are your thoughts on them taking a wide receiver with that 16th pick instead of the third? Do you think that is there too much of a tier gap there for you, or do you because I still think they could get a guy like Rashad Bateman there, who to me is almost in line with what Jamar Chase is going to offer you in year one. So where do you stand with that? That's my thought. Get O-line, then attack a skill position and running back, wide receiver.
Well, I actually have them taking another tackle, maybe not quite that caliber.
Gotcha.
But I do have another tackle for my later pick in the first round here for Miami.
Now,
so we're just split. Yeah.
Yeah, and I could see them going tackle here at this pick. This is a very deep wide receiver draft. Let's be honest. You're going to get talent in that second round, third round if you want. There's guys available for you a little bit later. So I do believe in Preston Williams. I think Devontae Parker is serviceable. Preston Williams, for me, is the alpha on that team right now. I'm not a big fan of Parker at all. Maybe you've got your two kind of outside guys, kick Parker and kick Williams to the outsides. Maybe it's a slot receiver you draft. A guy like a Tony or a Elijah Moore maybe is a better fit at the receiver spot for him.
Yeah, that's very possible. I did draw up a couple of trade possibilities for this pick, so I'm gonna read them off to you. We'll go DBrown, then Matt, DBrown, then Matt. I got 4 trade offers here. You tell me if you would take them if you're Miami, and then we could potentially discuss who's trading up to make this pick. So we've got Detroit sending their first round pick, which is the number 7 overall, a 4th, and the 4th for Miami's number 3 and a Miami 6th. Are you taking that?
Nah. I'm gonna axe that ass a little bit more.
Yeah, I think I want another 4th in there.
So you got to remember, we've still got 2 solid quarterbacks sitting on the board that teams are going to want to jump up and try and get hit 3. We've got Trey Lance and we got Justin Fields still on the board.
100%.
If I'm Miami, I'm sitting back. It's going to take you this year's first and probably at least next year's first just to get my attention.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I got another one I got down here is Denver sending the 9th overall pick and a next year second, which is projected to be a early pick in the second round. You need that first in next year's draft as well.
I need at least another first. It's two firsts.
Yeah.
Do you want to move up?
And if you're Denver, are you pulling the trigger on that so you can move up and draft? If you've got Justin Fields as, say, your QB2 behind Trevor Lawrence and he's there at the 103, you can send 2 firsts. I would consider that if I'm the Denver Broncos and this is your guy.
The problem is I don't know that they're sure enough to bank on a move like that with Justin Fields. The upside is huge, but there's risk there. And damn it if the Broncos are tired of missing, so for them to, at this point, if they're going to move up, they want to move up for one of these top 2 guys more than likely. I actually have Fields at 2, so I don't hate it, but I just don't see them wanting to really pay the piper, which is what it's going to take to move up into a spot like this, and then to get a QB3 to QB4 type prospect in this year's class.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's, you guys were both tooting the horn for Jamar Chase here, so let's go with Chase at number 3. We'll assume they don't trade out, even though I think it's very, very likely they do. They do make this trade in the NFL draft because, like you said, there's going to be teams that want to move up and grab a quarterback here, grab one of these, top tier guys, multiple guys, right behind them. We got, the Lions, the Panthers, the Broncos, all, the Niners. These guys are all looking for quarterbacks at stable quarterbacks to, steer the ship. So I think that move could definitely happen. The Miami Dolphins will just scoop up all of this value and be able to really stockpile those second, third, probably another first round pick, and just build, really build this team. So I love what they're doing there. Let's take Jamar Chase, but hope for real life trade.
Last year, I really liked how they handled as far as moving the guys and getting the good capital back, and I think they are in a position here to have an opportunity to kind of keep that ball rolling and potentially move out from the 3 spot. But I do love Jamar Chase there as somebody that can grow and really build the foundation there for Miami with Tua.
Yeah, well, you give him that alpha receiver that he can just huck the ball up to and let him go and get it. So I definitely don't hate that pick there. I think he's going to be a media playmaker. So let's move on to the Falcons here. Obviously, Matt Ryan has 2 years left on this contract. I really like Justin Fields here as this pick. I think that this is a guy who, he could come into the NFL and start, but I think he's going to struggle, immediately because just his style of play doesn't translate super well to the NFL. Corners are better. He had a lot of really talented receivers, and they were making plays for him. And so I do like Justin Fields, but he is, he's an athletic kid, but I want him to sit. I want him to, experience the NFL and learn. And who better to do that behind than your boy Matty Ice, DBrown. So I like this pick here. Let him groom for a year or 2. What do you think, man, DBrown?
Yeah, this is somewhere that pretty much most of the offseason I've been kind of touting as a trade out here. The Falcons haven't really had a great capital situation as for as long as I can remember. And as a habitual Matt Ryan defender, part of me says, what the hell are we going to get a quarterback for? If our window is here or closing. But Atlanta's kind of been a weird situation at this point, kind of overhead in the front office getting turned over as well. But we've got some of those aging pieces, the Matt Ryan and the Julio Jones, So we kind of need to make a decision here. And I think that this selection right here is going to be pretty telling with which way management's wanting to go, and as that's going and taking a shot right here while we do have those assets, or if not, in my opinion, we need to look towards the future, and which is why I'm not opposed to taking, like we mentioned, Justin Fields here, the hometown kid. He went to the same high school that my wife went to. So I've been
know that. Cool.
I've been watching him play. Him and Trevor Lawrence both kind of grew up about 30 minutes away from where I grew up. So I love Justin Fields here. I believe in the talent. I do think that he could stand to sit behind Matt Ryan and learn some things as far as the pocket presence aspect goes. We know what he can do with the legs, that he can be electric, and he is a playmaker. But sitting behind a guy like Matt Ryan could really pay dividends to his career longevity. So, I like Justin Fields here at 4, but I'm never going to argue against the Falcons trading out and getting a little bit more collateral.
Yeah, especially if they can do a deal like we just talked about with the number 3 pick, where they're able to acquire a first in next year's draft as well. That's a good franchise move, right?
I really think the Falcons. Yeah. I think the Falcons need to address that quarterback situation sooner than later. There's some good, talented quarterbacks coming in next year too that you could possibly get at. Now, DBrown, whereabouts are you located? Are you in Georgia?
Yeah, I'm in Georgia. I'm up in North Georgia now, but really grew up just outside, 20 minutes outside of Atlanta.
What would a player like Justin Fields, what kind of energy would he bring Atlanta, of all places, that just coming there and being that face of that franchise? I think that's a huge move bringing him in. And I think he could be that face of the franchise for a long time. And he's got pieces there with Calvin Ridley to grow for years and years to come. So I think it's a good combination. I don't think they can wait on next year because you never know where you're going to be next year.
I think they're going to be in a position like this at the 4 spot again. I mean, so
it's not very often you get this opportunity.
Changed my tune as far as avoiding the quarterback position. I don't think we'll see another opportunity to have this come to our front door. So I'm opening the damn door.
Especially with a local kind of kid too, right?
Yeah,
100%.
The hometown connection is going to be real. You're not going to some faraway town where you don't know anybody and hoping they accept you. Instantly you have a rapport. You want to be there. They want you to be there. I mean,
and you grew up, man. Like growing up, his whole life, he probably dreamed of playing for the Falcons.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, that's just it gives you in Madden, you get these confidence boosts. That's what he gets when he goes to his hometown team, gets drafted number 4 overall. I really like that pick. And I also wanted to point out, Matt Ryan only cost $8.6 million to cut in 2023, his final year on his contract. So they, like I said, they could let him groom this year. They could throw him in at the end of the season if they're losing, 10 weeks in and they only have 3 wins or whatever. See what you got in your backup quarterback. And then, maybe he takes the reins the following year and they cut Matt Ryan the year after. That's the beauty of having a rookie versus and a vet in that transition. So I like this pick. I think we should lock in Justin Fields here. You guys cool with that?
Let's do it.
Boom. All right, number 5. So this I feel like we have to go with Sewell here. We talked about him at potentially the number 2, number 3 spot. This is a huge team need for the Bengals. I talked about them potentially trading up to the 3 to grab him. So, I think this is a pretty clear pick for me.
And now I just want to point out that through 5 picks here, only one of us has a board that matches what we have here. So,
and who's that? Who's that?
It's myself. Excuse me.
Suck up. Sorry.
You do realize we have the same board, right, Brownie?
Do we? No.
Yeah.
You got Pitts at 5.
So are you guys? So that's who I have at 5. But I also have Penny fall, not falling to 5, and I think if he's there, they got to go that way. So,
so I'm going to chime in here real quick. And we kind of talked off air a little bit about this. This is going to be the craziest offseason we've ever seen. We're going to see players get cut that probably wouldn't normally be cut to get under that salary cap at $180 million. There's going to be good players cut. There's going to be a separation between the top-tier teams and the bottom-tier teams with players chasing that ring. Now, one of the things I'm looking at here, if I'm Cincinnati, as much as Sewell kind of gives me a little bit of excitement getting that tackle in place, you've got some linemen here, Trent Williams, Russell Okun, that could fill the void for another year. So you've got Joe Thuney, if you're Thuney there. Corey Lindsey just got cut from the Packers as a center. So you've got guys in that interior line and that offensive line in general that you could get via free agency, probably a little bit cheaper because there's not as much money this year as in years past to sign free agents. So what does that all mean? You've already got yourself a solid running back. You've got yourself your franchise quarterback. You got a couple good targets to go to in Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins. Why not go with a mismatch nightmare there? Give a quarterback his best friend, a wide receiver / tight end who could dominate for years, and plug that offensive line with free agency this year. That's what I'm kind of thinking for the Bengals. I'd probably go in Kyle Pitts here just because I think it'd be fun for that offense, give Joe Burrow that extra weapon. That'd be damn near impossible to stop offensively because they like to play fast to begin with. And creating those mismatches on the offense are going to be fun to watch. And just kind of plug it with some offensive linemen here that you could get via free agency.
Yeah, no, I do like that call. And for me, it's just from a point of, Sewell can be this foundational piece for your franchise on the offensive line. And so if you can go out and get that, I initially had Kyle Pitts going to the Bengals, and in this mock when Miami took Jamar Chase at number 3 and he fell, that to me becomes this is the guy that I want, because to me he is a generational talent at the at the offensive line. He can play all over. He can play left tackle, right tackle, guard if you need him to. He did all of those things in college, and so that's why I lean that way. It helps your franchise in the long run. These players generally last for longer, but I just absolutely love Kyle Pitts in a Bengals uniform. And I also know we can't pick him here because, DBrown, I want you to tell me who you got the Eagles taking at number 6.
Well, I have the Eagles taking Kyle Pitts at 6. So we locking Sewell into Cincinnati for sure.
Well, it's already locked in. So
it's already in there.
All right. I have Philly taking Pitts here. I'm not going to argue taking Pitts any earlier than this, but this is where I did have him falling. I think Ertz is on his way out of Philly for sure. Pitts is going to be a great fit to get in there with Goddard and really just kind of get back to that 2 tight end look that Philly's known for. And I think
he's basically a wide receiver, man.
Right, and having that mismatch ability for a guy like Hurts that can get out of the pocket and extend the play, and having him across the middle of the field is just really going to pay dividends to the growth of Hurts as well. So I want to see it. I want to see the Hurts to Pitts touchdown passes.
Well, check this out. So DBrown sent me this earlier today,
and here's the snap. Hurts looks deep. He's got a man. Kyle Pitts, touchdown Eagles.
Look at those photo editing skills. That's impressive. You're about to pick up a deal, man.
I kid you not. I was pooping when I made that, and it took me 4 minutes.
Fantastic. You got to teach me about that. Not the pooping. I know that part. Matt, who do you got the Eagles taking at number 6?
So I got the Bengals addressing grabbing Kyle Pitts at 5. So I got Sewell going to the Eagles at 6. Reason why, if they can get Sewell here, this is huge for the team. Carson Wentz was sacked 50 times last year. Jalen Hurts was on pace for 46 times being sacked. Those have been the 2 most sacked quarterbacks in the league at that pace. The problem is that offensive line. Carson Wentz was shell-shocked last year, and it's not going to take long before a second-year quarterback like Jalen Hurts, even with that mobility, is going to become shell-shocked himself. They're going to waste him if they don't address that offensive line. They need to address 100%. That offensive line. They've got holes everywhere. They could go corner here with either any of the top 3, J.C. Horn, Fairley, or Surtain. Those guys would be good auditions there. A lineman here, Slater would be a good fit for them as well. So I really want them to address offensive tackle here with either Slater or Sewell. That would be my pick based on the definite need on that offensive line. We saw that, I think, through I stopped keeping track after week 12. I think through week 12, and I'm sure this kept on going, they had 11 different starting offensive line combinations in the first 12 weeks. I don't know what it ended up. I seen Travis was in the chat room. He probably could cry and tell us a little bit more about that, being the resident Eagles fan for True North. But I'm telling you, they need to. You're going to ruin Jalen Hurts if you can't protect him. Whether he's got that scrambling mobility or not, you've seen way too often Carson Wentz was scared to come off that first read because he knew he was about to get hit.
It's true.
I don't hate it. I don't mind the Eagles addressing the O-line here at all. I just was ready to attach my guy Kyle Pitts to a name that I was kind of that I was feeling. And it just made too much sense here in Philly. So I'm good to take a tackle here. I just feel like now that the 101 of tackles is off the boards, I just really wanted to get the 101 of another position here. Probably my hands down, my favorite player coming into the draft is Kyle Pitts. I think he presents a mismatch like nobody else can or will year one, let alone moving forward. And to have an opportunity to get a guy like that versus another O-lineman just feels like a difference maker in my eyes. So I went with Kyle Pitts.
Yeah, well, and so I had Jamar Chase actually going to the Eagles, sliding to 6. And so we all have different opinions on where this pick's going to go. But, due to the fact that we did just take I think that we should lean Pitts here. I was under the same impression when I went with Jamar Chase, get the 101, 102 at another position and go from there. So I like that pick. We're going to lock it in so we can get rolling here. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The Lions have, they're kind of in a prime spot to trade back. They've got, similar to what you were talking about with the Falcons, DBrown. I think that if they can move back, move back and get another first in this draft, and then get a first in next year's draft, and maybe also a second in this year's draft, I would 100% make that move. From a franchise perspective, they have a lot of holes to fill, and so they just need as much draft capital as they can find here. So I threw out a couple trades. The first one I got here is Indy trading up from the 21st pick. I had them trading up to draft Kyle Pitts, assuming that he doesn't slide here. That was just a fun, exciting move because I think that it could really benefit Carson Wentz in that offense. Have this elite playmaker to catch the ball. But yeah, so what do you think, DBrown? Are you on the side that says the Lions should trade here? Or are you on the let's take one of the best? There's 2 elite cornerbacks, 3 actually cornerbacks still on the board. They could address quarterback, and Trey Lance, let him develop a little bit, see what they got sitting behind Goff. Where are you at, man?
I do think if I'm Detroit, I am fielding offers here, but part of it is I'm not looking to move far back. I'm eyeing a guy like Denver, who is potentially looking to make a squeeze for quarterback, knowing that Carolina potentially is holding the same hand. So I think really Denver's in a position to want to move up here with Detroit. Detroit could potentially, collect a little bit more. That, like you said, they've got a ton of holes to fill, and they're right here where they could still get some 1s and 2s at the positional tiers. That I don't mind them moving back just a little bit to collect a little bit more and be able to build a little bit more depth here. Denver is a team that I would be looking for to potentially move up here ahead of a Carolina.
And what about say San Francisco? Are you looking at them to move up here, or do you think they're looking at somebody to fall to them at number 12?
I don't think that they're looking to move up here. I think that they're okay sitting with where they're at, and depending on who's there and how the board unfolds, I think they might think about addressing that quarterback situation. But I don't think that they're so worried about it that they're willing to mortgage a little bit of future just to move up a spot again for the guys that we're talking about in this range. I think that they'll be patient, roll with Jimmy G if that's what they have to do for another year until they can get a better prospect that they're willing to bite the bullet on.
And what about you, Dingus? Are you moving back, or are you just taking one of these corners here? Oh, you're muted.
Yeah. I think the move actually comes a little bit earlier. I think with the Eagles pick, the Eagles are in more of that prime position. Detroit could look at quarterback here. Carolina looks at a quarterback. Denver's looking for a quarterback. San Francisco's looking for a quarterback. So the Eagles are in a nice prime spot to swap and then add a couple extra picks. Now, if Detroit stays here, it becomes interesting what they want to do because we got Trey Lance is still on the board. Who wants Trey Lance? Trey Lance is that quarterback who has an incredibly high ceiling, but he's incredibly raw right now as well. He's going to take a few years to kind of groom into something. You got Jared Goff in Detroit that can kind of bridge that gap. Carolina does not have that bridge gap quarterback right now. Maybe they go out and get a Ryan Fitzpatrick. We've heard Deshaun Watson's name, so that could end that whole topic right there too. If we see a Deshaun Watson traded to Carolina deal before the draft. So there's so many different. This is where it gets interesting here around the Philly pick, around the Detroit pick, and I could see Detroit possibly trading out of it, but they're going to need they're only going to want to drop a couple spots because they've got a couple guys they're targeting in that range, and I don't think they want to lose out on that. So it'll definitely be a team with a need at quarterback that comes up and gets that pick.
Well, so I'm looking at this right here, and we've got Denver at 9, just like DBrown's talking about, can move up 2 spots. They could go and draft Trey Lance. We could all. I'm also looking at the Panthers at number 8 to potentially draft Trey Lance. So a couple different options there. But this is sending this first and a 22 first, and
I also have Carolina taking Trey Lance here, which is why I do think it is a prime spot for Denver to move up. And potentially get a guy that can come in and compete with Drew Lock and see if they have something there. So.
And that's what I think Carolina's thinking too, with possibly trading with Philly to get ahead of the Detroit pick so Denver can't come in.
Correct.
So that's where it's going to get interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun to see how this actually plays out. So let's throw this offer out here. It's a 2 firsts and a 4th for the Lions first and the 3rd, number 88 overall. We'll see if they accept our offer. Boom! There we go.
We got to trade.
Now we go up.
Trade them.
Love it. I love it. So let's. You guys cool with Trey Lance here? We just traded up for him, so I'm hoping so.
I'm trading up. I'm taking a guy like Trey Lance and hoping that he can come in and turn that Denver Broncos program around.
Now I will say this. We've got Von Miller with some legal issues there. They could seriously Denver could also trade back to get another 3-4 outside linebacker because of legal troubles that Von Miller's facing. So keep that in mind here. But yeah, if you're going to trade up, Trey Lance is a big, strong quarterback, kind of fits that build that John Elway likes in a quarterback. So yeah, I get it makes sense.
Yeah, no, I like it. I'm also notice, we're 7 picks in and there hasn't been a defensive player taken yet. That's I think that's only happened once in the past 20 years. I went all the way back to 1999, and the last time there was a defensive player taken all the way at 7, it was that year. So
I just don't feel like
interesting
a defensive player that really has that.
Yeah, I mean all these guys. Yeah, they just
feel to him. Those are really when you start getting guys like that in the mix. But there's not really a guy like that this year that's really even has you even scratching your head for top 5. I mean, part of it is us as fantasy football, enthusiasts. We love to see the offensive skill position guys go, but here we are addressing the offensive line. Respect.
Well, and so here's this is an interesting pick now because we both had Trey Lance going to the Carolina Panthers here. What do you guys do here? Do you trade back? Do you address the offensive line, which is one of their biggest team needs, or do you potentially reach on Mac Jones here as a team need? I think that's a poor choice for the team, but we've seen crazy things happen in the NFL. Dingus, what do you think, man?
So we're talking trades. It takes 2 teams to trade. We've heard the Raiders talk about this for years that, hey, we wanted to trade back, but no one wanted to trade back or trade up at the time. Carolina could be in that situation here. I think they want to trade back at no later than 14. I think they want to stay ahead of New England. I think Mac Jones is where they want to go. 8 does seem a little bit of a reach at this point. I love Mac Jones. Mac Jones is my number 3 quarterback right now. So if I'm Carolina, I'm okay with it. Mac Jones, his touch, his accuracy, he might not have that athletic profile that the Justin Fields, Zach Wilsons, and the Trey Lances have. But he's athletic enough to get the job done, and he's accurate enough as well. I think Carolina can trade back to get him about 14. I get ahead of New England on this. But if there's no one to trade back, get your guy, and that's the bottom line. And if they believe with Mac Jones, and I think they want a quarterback, if they don't get Deshaun Watson via trade, they got to go here and get Mac Jones.
All right. That's pretty ballsy because, yeah, like I said, that does feel like a little bit of a reach, but, I'm cool with it. I have Mac Jones going to the Niners at number 12. I think he's a great fit in that offense, and I think he could slide down there. Like I said, I had Trey Lance going here, but with this trade, the other thing I wanted to just point out is, there's still all three of these top corners on the board. These guys are all three of them are immediate playmakers in the NFL. That was one of the biggest weaknesses for the Carolina Panthers last season. So I think, you got to take a look here. DBrown, you just talked about it, right? If you missed out on the 101 of your at a different position, go grab one, at a different team need. So I think there's an argument there to be made for one of these corners. What do you think, DBrown?
Yeah, no, I actually I do like a corner here. I'm not really in the train that I think they should go ahead and pull the trigger on Mac Jones here. You paid Teddy B kind of stupid money. I think you kind of got to stick with that here. Once again, not really getting that prospect that I'm looking to pull the trigger on at this point in the draft. When I got Caleb Farley, what I think is the best cornerback in this class, staring me in the face, and a gaping hole at the position, somebody that can line up opposite of Bradbury. I think I'm going to pull the trigger on him and roll with Teddy B, who's not the guy, but we knew he wasn't the guy last year, and they paid him anyway. I don't feel good about trying to double dip with Mac Jones at this point, and it really fucks up my draft board if we go Mac Jones right here. So,
I feel the same way.
I'm a player. If you guys are feeling Mac Jones here to Carolina, I'm gonna fucking cheers with you guys, and we'll take Mac Jones.
Well, let's give full disclosure here. On our board here right now, we had Trey Lance, all three of us going to Carolina. Right, that's what we had.
It is.
Denver, we had a corner going to. We had our top corner, so to speak, going. We all had a corner going to Denver. So
we each had a different one, but only because Julien had Farley go to Detroit earlier.
And I'm against you guys here. Not saying that it won't work that way. I don't think Farley is the best corner. I love J.C. Horn, but each their own, right? As long as you have that process and you believe in your guy, I got no problem with that. I think all three, we're talking Surtain, we're talking Farley, we're talking J.C. Horn. I think they're all in that same area. I don't think there's a whole lot of separation to them. I just think Farley relies too much right now on his athleticism, and he gets a little bit beat, where J.C. Horn and Surtain, you don't hear about them so much because they're always in the right position. So their technique is spot on. Can they get a little handsy? Yes, all corners get a little handsy. That's what we do. So,
well, Surtain is I have these guys as a 1A, 1B between these two, and Horn is right behind them. So I'm actually cool with him here at number 8 if you guys are.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's punt Mac a little bit further.
We'll let him slide.
But I do. Oh, you went Surtain. He went with the opposite one of everyone.
I just said we'll go in the middle. Whatever. It's okay. Pretend like I didn't take Surtain.
All right,
I went that way because he is a little bit more of a technically advanced corner, and I think that in the NFL that's the way that it's going to end up shaking out for the actual draft is those more technically advanced players, like you said, Matt. Farley is he relies a lot on his athleticism, and he is a freak athlete, and that's going to help a lot. But I think that the IQ factor will play in real life NFL, and that's the way that it shakes out. So there's my defense.
Don't worry, Nate. I'm not drafting Parsons to Detroit.
There we go. Boom. Love it. So who do you have here, Matt? Back at number 9.
Well, if I'm Detroit, I'm still looking at possibly dropping back, trading back a little bit more, getting a little bit more draft capital. I'm still comfortable with either one of the corners still on the board. But my wide receiver one is Jalen Waddle. And I think he in the Motor City, he could be electric. You've already got Marvin Jones on one side. You could still you already got Kenny Golladay. You're gonna franchise Kenny Golladay. They'd be dumb not to do that.
Yeah.
Marvin Jones is an option. You got Jared Goff, who's not the most mobile quarterback. You got DeAndre Swift already in place. You got TJ Hawkinson in there. Why don't you give Jared Goff his younger, faster, more athletic, freakish Robert Woods? You run Jalen Waddle on those jet sweeps underneath. You've got the most dynamic ball carrier amongst wide receivers in the draft. There's a reason why he was returning kicks and punts. And if you watch the film, if Jalen Waddle wasn't hurt, Devonta Smith does not win the Heisman. I guarantee you that. Because teams are rolling coverages. They weren't rolling the coverage to Devonta Smith through weeks 1 to 4 when Waddle was in. They were rolling their coverage to Waddle. They were trying to find ways to shut down Waddle, and Waddle is, in my opinion, the best of the three. Now, am I going to argue with you having Jamar Chase at 1? Or am I going to argue with you having Devonta Smith at 1? You can even make an argument for Rashad Bateman. And I'm not going to fight you on any one of those either because they're all fantastic options. But I think Waddle fits what Detroit wants to do, and he just brings that interesting dynamic that the other guys don't quite have.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. We've seen a lot of high draft capital receivers with his stature, with his physical size go in the first round, and some have been successful and some have not. And so I think that's a little bit of a risky play for the Lions. I just have him a little bit lower on my draft board. Like you said, I'm not going to argue anybody about who they've got at the top. Everybody has their own process, but. What I do love that you pointed out is, attacking the wide receiver position, because these are the two biggest needs for me are, these two players right here, wide receiver and corner on the other side that this team really needs to address. Those were, obviously huge misses this year. Kenny Golladay was out a lot of the year and that kind of stuff. Marvin Jones is probably on his way out the door. We'll see what happens in free agency, but I do like getting a wide receiver here and giving Goff, a playmaker that he's able to, kind of pass the ball off to and not have to throw very far to do it. So what do you think, DBrown?
Yeah, no, I don't mind addressing the wide receiver position here. Waddle is top 3 for me as far as the wide receiver prospects go. So I don't mind locking him in here for Detroit and giving them another a weapon as far as the wide receiver core goes, because they're lacking outside of Kenny Golladay, who he himself, his future in Detroit is up in the air at this point. So, addressing that here seems like kind of a no-brainer. The other thing I would do is potentially go cornerback, but like we said, either one, I think one of those two is the call here, depending on Detroit. But it also kind of comes down to what do they really think about Jared Goff? Are they trying to get him some weapons, or were they just eating his contract to eat it and they're looking to move on? Because in that case, you might look to maybe build up that defense a little bit more so versus going out and getting their guy a weapon, So it kind of comes down to Detroit's mindset with where they are, how they feel with Goff their center. But I'm not gonna swat at anybody going Jalen Waddle here to Detroit.
Well, for the fantasy lovers in us, we will make this happen and maybe speak it into existence. Moving on to number 10 is the Cowboys. I actually like the Cowboys to trade out here as well. I think they need to address the defense, and there is a lot of talent in this defensive draft, but it's just back a little bit further because it's overshadowed by all of these amazing playmakers on offense. But I think they could move back potentially 3 spots with the Chargers, who I have moving up here to grab Rashawn Slater, because that's their big hole is the offensive line. If they can address that with this pick, then they could compete in the AFC West, and so that's the move that I like here. What do you think, Dingus?
I think there's 3 options here. Dallas has a need to tackle themselves. Their line was banged up pretty bad. They may think about trading back and grabbing another tackle and Cosme or Dershaw. Those are options for them to trade back and do. Rashawn Slater is a different breed. He's right there with Sewell. Like, as far as I'm concerned, they're 1B
really
at the tackle position. Now, Dallas could also go the cornerback route because they definitely could use a cornerback. Fairley is an option there, as well as whatchamacallit there. We got Horn. So they can go corner or offensive tackle. Now, they've got so many holes right now in Dallas that maybe this is where they go, okay, you know what? We're looking at our board. We love Slater. He's definitely probably our number one choice here. We've got 2 corners available that we like too, and Horn and I keep forgetting who we got left. Horn and Fairley. We know we got those 2 guys for sure. Slater we like. So 1, 2, 3. We need to have 4 guys in our back pocket that we like. Do we like Dershaw or Cosme enough to make this move for a tackle? Assuming that teams will take corners on it, so we won't have an option to get a corner. So that's kind of where it goes. I think I'm probably agreeing with you to maybe trade back, but it's going to be tough to pass on Slater. So I would personally put Slater into that position at tackle because there's no way Slater drops out of the top 10.
Dingus.
Spike that.
That's a dingus spike right there.
But
That's a big boy touchdown, right?
Yeah,
we just saw a left tackle sneak out for a game-winning touchdown. I love it. I like that pick too, right? Like I said, I have the Chargers trading up to draft him here. I think he's a great pick at the 10 spot. I just think that the Cowboys need to address their defense. Obviously, the offensive line, had issues as well. But that defense it was hard to watch this year. They ranked 29th in against the run and 28th against the pass, something I believe like that. So I'm definitely in boat. Let's go defense. But if you guys both want to go Slater here, let's make that move and
let's go
see where the
Slater.
draft take us.
Let's do it for my boy Zeke. Pour one out for my boy Zeke, who seems to be hurting right now as far as dynasty value goes. People got him outside the top 10. I mean, this is an offense that was putting up top 5 numbers a year ago. So, let's quit sleeping on Ezekiel Elliott. My boy's going to rebound in 2021. Get on it before you get out. Yeah.
I love it. I'm excited for it because I am a Zeke owner in one dynasty league, and wasn't feeling too hot at the end of the year there.
All right.
Okay, boys. Number 11. I love Devonta Smith to the Giants with this pick. I think you get a playmaker on the outside who could take some pressure off of Saquon, give Daniel Jones some actual weapons. This guy is just a pure football player. This is my wide receiver 1. I know a lot of people are skittish on him due to, his size and, just physical stature and whatnot. But I love this kid. I'm all about him. And so I love him to New York, pairing him up with Saquon and giving Daniel Jones a couple of weapons, right? The top 2 tackle just went, which is what I would have said if Slater hadn't gone with this last pick. I would assume that the Giants are going to address the offensive line position. But with where we're at right now, I think this is the easy pick for me.
Yeah,
Matt, what do you think? Or DBrown?
I think when the Giants were at their best, it was that defensive line that did everything. And I really think Rousseau there, maybe Jalen Phillips, maybe my boy Pay. These are some options here. They're a little bit lower on the predictive board, but I think they go edge. I think they have to go edge over a wide receiver here.
All right. So which one are you taking then? If you've got your choice, because there's quite a few, Kwity Paye here, and then obviously we get down a little bit further. This is kind of why I like Dallas to trade back, is because I like them to attack that position, kind of in that pocket there. Which one of these guys are you grabbing if you're the Giants?
I mean,
I want to go. Oh, go ahead.
I do like both guys. I do have Devonta Smith going here, but I am a Pay fan. I think he is kind of that long, lengthy build that the Giants are known for. Kind of come in and be the JPP of the past. So I do like him coming in and kind of shoring up that D-line presence, kind of being a cornerstone for the defense for them moving forward. But like Jules mentioned, I love the thought of Smith joining that wide receiver room. Like we said, outside of the couple guys that they got, Sterling Shepard, he's kind of getting up there as far as age goes too at this point, and I'm going to pay him more money. I like getting Daniel Jones another weapon, and Devonta Smith showed, when Waddle was injured, he came in and showed that he can be a feature wide receiver, and he balled out. Hats off to him. I had questions about him, but when Waddle was out and Smith was leaned on heavily as far as receiving goes for Alabama, he more than answered the call. He looked like an elite difference maker on the field, and to get my guys in New York, Daniel Jones, a weapon like that, to be able to maybe move that offense a little bit. Evan Ingram's not the future at this point. Saquon Barkley can't do it all coming back from injury. Let's get Daniel Jones an elite receiving option, somebody who he can chuck the rock to. That's kind of where I would lean here.
And Matt, you got any opposition there? Are you spearheading us? No, or are you cool with it?
I mean, they need a wide receiver there that could help. They need an edge. I'm a big believer in building in the trenches. You build with offensive line, you build with defensive line. I think defensive line is where you go here. I think Pay is the best option there. Rousseau's a little too stiff for me in the hips and stuff on that bend. Pay is still raw, but I think he's got the higher ceiling of the two. So I would go edge. You guys can figure out which one you want.
Hey, Jules, let's give it to my man here, because there's I think you and I could probably find numerous teams that we could stick Devonta Smith onto. So let's go ahead and lock in Pay here, and
let's do it
and knock it out, because I'm telling you right now, I'm not going to struggle to find a team to stick Devonta Smith on the wide receiving core. So
no, 100%. I can see a couple targets coming up here. So
yeah, my brain's churning.
Now, San Francisco, this is pretty interesting, right? They have obviously big team needs at cornerback. Devonta Smith is there. They don't really need a receiver, and I don't think that he fits this mold. But in my opinion, BPA, right? So, what do you guys think with this 12th pick? If you're the Niners, are you trying to trade back here again? Attack some of these value pockets at the back of the first, or are you just filling needs, right? Cornerback.
I think you punch in the corner here right now. You're the San Francisco 49ers. You're not far off from competing. You have a very good chance, if you're healthy, to go from worst to first this year again and competing in that division. I think you punch in Caleb Farley and you run away laughing.
Yeah, well, with it, I mean, Richard Sherman's gone this year. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
I'd take J.C. Horn.
They would be ecstatic to have their choice of these two cornerback prospects that are left on the board right here. I think that's no doubt where they would go with this pick, unless they feel they could move back a spot or two. But let's not get too tricky here. Let's lock in Farley as and Horn. Somebody's going to get a value on Horn, Matt. That's all.
For sure. All right. Now the Chargers here. To me, this is an easy pick. Christian Darrisaw. Again, like I talked about with them trading up, this is that's the whole. That's what they need. This offense, or this team as a whole is really like an offensive line piece, maybe a couple defenders away from healthy defenders away from competing in this extremely tough division. So I love this pick here. I think you attack your biggest team need. What do you guys say? Any opposition to that?
I'm okay with tackle here. There's a couple guys. I like Tucker. He's another option because he's a swing player. He can play inside and he can play outside.
Yeah.
I think Darrishaw's fantastic. I think you want that flexibility on your offensive line, a guy who can play inside and outside. So I like Tucker a little bit more, but Darrishaw is fantastic. Cosme's a good choice here too. Lock in an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
All right, DBrown, you make the choice, man. Which one of these two?
Let's go Darrisaw. I do have them taking a tackle. I actually had them taking Cosmi, but either way here, let's go ahead and lock in a tackle for our friend Justin Herbert.
Boom. He's gonna love us after this. We know you're watching, Justin. Number 14 for the Vikings, man. This again, this is such an interesting part of the draft because there's so much value at certain positions, and it's value versus team need. Are you reaching to fill a void on your team, or are you just drafting BPA? So, Dingus, I want you to tell me what you're going to do if you're the Vikings here. They need to address defense. It was very clear. They also need to address offensive line, which was also very clear. Despite having one of the best rushing and passing attacks, it wasn't due to the O-line, who ranked 29th in on PFF with a grade of 65.5, I believe. Just really, really not great at all. And so, are you addressing the offensive line here when you could go and get Tucker, or are you again addressing this defense that severely lacked?
So I like Vera Tucker here. I love that his flexibility here. That's what gives him the option, because he can kick inside and then he can kick outside. He's more of an interior offensive lineman, but he can kick outside to tackle as well. So, and he did that. So he's kind of my lead. But boy, would Devonta Smith be fun here?
Oh, man.
Could you imagine building with Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, and Devonta Smith with Irv Smith as well thrown into the mix with Delvin Cook, you'd have a pretty – even Kirk Cousins couldn't screw that offense up. So I'm really struggling here watching Devonta Smith. I have him mock there for fun because, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's have a little bit of fantasy draft here. So he would make a ton of sense for me. He plays bigger than the Slim Reaper, as Ray G likes to call him. He plays a lot bigger than what his size actually is. And I think he'd be a fantastic fit with Justin Jefferson going forward. But for me, I'm still leaning to Tucker. Like I said, I believe in building in the trenches. You've got Thielen still. You've got Jefferson still. Parsons is an option but you still got Kendricks possibly coming back. I want to address that offensive line. I like the versatility of Tucker.
Yeah, I'm good with Tucker here. I think it's a great pick. Like I said, that offensive line, it's really one piece away from being elite, right? Devonta Smith, he adds that eliteness on the outside, but I want that elite play in the trenches here. I love this pick, and I like it. So let's lock it in, boys. All right. Now, this one's interesting. I think they go defense here, which is, the most Bill Belichick move possible. Glaring holes all over the offense, and you go and get one of these, elite defenders. But I really think he does do that. You talked about it earlier, Matt. I think they addressed the offensive line through free agency, and I think they're gonna probably try and address the quarterback position that way. So if they don't, I think they could take Mac Jones here. But ultimately, I think that they go either Micah Parsons or Jeremiah Owusu. Help me out here, Koromora. Couldn't remember his last name there.
I'm the worst person for you asking names about.
Man, I did it on my last show. I don't know. I can't pronounce it properly. Everything has a deep ooh to the end of it.
I like Parsons here I think he is the best value that's staring us in the face on the board right now as far as positional rankings go. But part of me loves the Mac Jones, take right here, having the probably the last really serviceable quarterback that could come in and potentially make a difference for a franchise is still on the board, and know that is a position that is much needed, and I think he's a great fit actually there for Bill Belichick. So I'm not ruling it out here, but either way, I do think that Parsons is the best value on the board.
And I'm kind of leaning as much as I think Parsons is the best. I think he is. He gives you that ability to rush from the edge as well. At Penn State, he did come off the edge quite often. He was that middle linebacker, but he gives that versatility. We know Bill Belichick likes to change things up and have his coordinators change things up defensively and kind of take away team's best option. And with Parsons, you can put him, line him up on the edge and have him blitz every time. So Parsons makes a lot of sense to the Patriots.
Let's do it. Let's lock him in. Keep it moving, rolling.
Boom. All right, number 16 here, guys. The Arizona Cardinals. Didn't lock in. All right. So
here's JC Horn for me. Cardinals have a need.
I think
you got this one on the board.
No, we don't even need to discuss it. That's a major need for them, and at this point, another huge value on the board. I don't think that they're going to think twice. They're going to run up to that podium to hand the pick in.
Yeah, I agree. This, like you said, someone's going to get a value. We said it was coming up here. It's the Cardinals. I love this pick for them. Huge team need, easy decision. Now, this is where I'm looking at Devonta Smith. The Raiders would pick 17. I just think this makes too much sense.
The Slim Reaper in Raider Black. Are you fucking serious? Run that.
Just imagine the Sons of Dynasty gear, man. Imagine all that Sons of Dynasty gear. Woo!
So, as sexy as that may be, the Raiders' offense was pretty good last year. If you look at the production they had and everything that went with it, their offense was not the problem.
No, it wasn't.
And we
but I also didn't expect Devonta Smith to fall. I mean, that's like the Cowboys last year, right? Like they should have addressed. They should have addressed defense at I think it was the 12th pick, right? But they took CeeDee Lamb because best player available, and that's why I think that they go this route. It is still a need. Nelson Aguilar's gone in free agency. You've got Brian Edwards and Henry Ruggs there, and but Darren Waller's the main target right now. And so if you can get a second weapon, and then you also have Josh Jacobs coming out of the backfield, I think defense is next year's need if this is the way the draft falls. But
so I think it's going to be very difficult for them to turn down Devonta Smith there. We know Meg Mayock. We know his pedigree is to grab those big-time school guys, character guys, if you wish. Clemson, Alabama, he likes to go there for his draft pick. It's going to be really tough to turn those down. I like Rousseau here getting me that edge defender. I really think they need to address that edge ever since Khalil Mack left. Mm-hmm. Edge defenders are hard to find, especially good ones. And I want a linebacker. I've wanted a linebacker in Raiderland for a long time. They don't draft Raiders or linebackers. Sorry, they just don't. In fact, I think the last time John Gruden drafted a linebacker in the second round or earlier was Barrett Rudd with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay.
Wowza.
Yeah. So don't expect them to go linebacker here. I want Rousseau here. I think that's the pick, but Devonta Smith, man, I can't. It's hard to turn that down. Imagine Devonta Smith and Braylon Edwards and Henry Ruggs, throwing some Nelson Aguilar, who's probably going to be the key here because Aguilar played well, but do you believe in him enough? Because he's going to want to get paid for what he did last year and deservedly so. But I can't pay him what he's going to want. Yeah, so let me replace him. He's a cut guy. They just cut Terrell Williams and saved $11 million. They're still over the cap. I think Aguilar gets cut.
Yeah, let's go Devonta Smith.
Because Matt is very upset, but it is the pick here. So sorry, buddy. Get their car weapon, or maybe Mariota. We'll see what happens, man. Back to Miami with the 18th pick. We talked about this a little bit earlier. So I had them taking Penny at the 103, and now all the way back at 18, I had them taking Najee Harris here to shore up that backfield. You get an offensive tackle, you get a running back, and you have your offense. And then you grab a wide receiver in the second and probably the third, and you've got this team shored up, hopefully. And so that's the way I would have went. I love Najee here in this position. What do you guys think? Who are you taking if you're Miami? DBrown, you take it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind taking Najee here. Like I said, since we did go Chase at the 3 spot, right? Which kind of makes me lean back towards the board here and maybe look at taking the tackle that is sitting at the top of the board here. Kind of shoring up that offensive line for Tua and co. Now with Chase, Gesicki, Preston, and Parker, got the offensive weapons while the run game has been in question. It seems to kind of be a run game that they can make it work with a couple of Jags on the roster. So, I don't mind,
especially if they address O-line.
Right. If they address the O-line here and protect the assets that you do have versus trying to go out and gather another one. Plus, with the capital they got, I do think there is going to be some other guys at the running back position that they could very, very well come in. And while they might not be Najee Harris, they might not be too far of a tick down the ladder.
Yeah.
So I'm in agreement. I think Najee Harris is the pick. Here's why. Najee Harris came to the Senior Bowl for a reason, right? He didn't have to go to the Senior Bowl. He was going to be a high pick. He was going to be the top running back, probably taken off the board, whether he went there or not. The fact that Jim Nagy and the Senior Bowl staff paired him up with Brian Flores and the Miami Dolphins staff so he could get to know Brian Flores a little bit more, and Flores could understand him. They could get on the same page. I think that speaks volumes right now. Now, I know the other coaches, Matt Rule in Carolina, and they've got a guy named Christian McCaffrey for now on their team, and it didn't really make much sense there. But Najee Harris coming there and Miami coaching, I don't think isn't just a coincidence.
No, I love it. And I also think that this pick is something, we talked about it earlier with these offensive linemen. We talked about taking an offensive line for these guys, but this team, you go and get these playmakers and then you fill in those veteran pieces on the offensive line through free agency. The Dolphins have an absurd amount of cap space. that they can, spend this year. And so I think that just makes sense. Go get the playmakers, fill in the pieces on the offensive line. You build this extremely strong run game, and then you also, you have these elite playmakers on the outside now. So I love this pick. I think it's Najee Harris for me. But let's lock it in.
Do it.
Boom.
Do it.
Now, here's where I take Mac Jones. I think he's a great fit in Washington. I think that they're in a desperate need, and they are ecstatic to get him here. The 19th pick off the board, they can go and get a guy that I think can be, if he's not going to be the franchise, I think he can, he can be like Alex Smith. He can be an upholder that's able to just, do enough. And if you put the pieces around him like they have, they've built this elite defense, I think we could see, we could definitely see that move here. So, Matt, what do you think, man?
I think you got two options here. I think you got option one, Mac Jones. Love it. I still think he's the number 3 quarterback in this draft. Alex Smith, Heineke, they're not the options there anymore. I love Alex Smith. I love his story, this and that. Samuel Cosme, offensive tackle. Tevin Jenkins, offensive tackle. These are definitely options here for Washington as well. I kind of think Rashad Bateman would look good there opposite Terry McLaurin. That's definitely
nice.
Sexy option. Terry McLaurin, Rashad Bateman, 2 alpha receivers on the outside, Antonio Gibson. And then you've got the emergence of Logan
Thomas. Yeah.
You can put a pretty good offense together, but you still need a quarterback, and you still need to protect the quarterback. And they don't have either one. So I'm going to go with Mac Jones as well because I love myself some Mac Jones.
Yeah, I think it's the pick here. It makes sense for their team. Let's lock it in. I'm sure DBrown's going to agree with us, and if he didn't, well, sucks to not have a full drink on your hand, eh? Chicago with pick number 20, man. Now, this is, again, super interesting. I'm staring at Samuel Cosme here. They can also, address the wide receiver position. I love Rashad Bateman to the Bears with this pick as well. I think that he could, come in and replace that Allen Robinson type where, he's more of a possession receiver, and they just missed out on these quarterbacks. So, I don't think they attack that here. I think, what do you think, Matt? I see you cringing over there.
I do, and I think they have a need at wide receiver. But let's keep in mind, first off, they need someone to get the ball to them. We still need to find a quarterback somewhere along the way. So their wide receiver position is not as bad in the dear position as we need because you got Mooney there who came out of nowhere, played well. Anthony Miller's still a solid option. They will franchise tag, I think, Allen Robinson. He will be there next year. And I know it's hard for a wide receiver to be quarterback proof, but Allen Robinson, Blake Bortles, Mitch Trubisky, he's proved he's pretty much quarterback proof. So I don't think you necessarily need it. They need an offensive tackle. They're another team like Minnesota, like Philly, who went through a lot of different combinations along that offensive line. I'm leaning here more towards Samuel Cosme. Give me that big old tackle here for the Bears. And definitely, I love you, Daniel Jeremiah. I think you're one of the most brilliant minds out there. But Tony here is not an option. I think Tony's going to be this year's Henry Ruggs, and that pains me as a Raiders fan.
No, I have to agree, man. What do you think, DBrown, about this pick?
I actually did. I had Rashad Bateman going here as well. I think that kind of gives you some flexibility with Allen Robinson. Obviously they can address the quarterback position at this point. So, in flux, I think Rashad Bateman or the tackle Cosme that is on the board are the best two values as far as what the Bears are looking for as from a need perspective. But the quarterback position is a conundrum for them right now. And, who are we getting weapons for? So, developing that O-line a little bit further almost feels like a little bit more of a safe foundational block versus a Rashad Bateman, who might not be able to come in and really produce much of anything under the current state of the Bears offense.
Do you guys think there's any chance that they end up using this pick to trade for a quarterback?
I mean, there's always the option out there. Honestly, I still believe in Mitch Trubisky. I really do, but I think that boat sailed. I think that bond between Nagy and Trubisky's gone. I think they could use a bridge quarterback, like a Ryan Fitzpatrick, maybe bring him in for a year and then hope to hit on one next year in the draft and address that position. But we all know Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's just too good to give you a top 10 pick, but he's not good enough to get you to the playoffs. You know what I mean? So he literally is that bridge quarterback. He will get you so you can play some games, but
yeah,
man, I think they go tackle here. Could they trade this pick? Could they go for Teddy Bridgewater? Could they?
Once again,
yeah,
we can find a spot for Bateman here down the line.
Yeah, let's go with tackle here. All right, moving on to the Colts. So this again, a team that was really only one or two pieces away on offense. Starting with the quarterback position from being a legit Super Bowl contender. Obviously an elite defense. Which way are you guys leaning here? Do you attack offense in the draft here, knowing that you have this elite defense already shored up, or are you just looking to add more playmakers and make it impossible to score against you? What do you think, Matt?
I think the Colts are pissed right now that Cosme just went off the board. They were hoping that the Bears were going to roll with Bateman and be able to get Cosme. Now they have to ask themselves, do I want to take the next step down to Tevin Jenkins, who, while not far off from Cosme, is still, in my opinion, a slight tier down. So which now brings us back to, we want to maybe boost our offense a little bit, add a piece. Rashad Bateman could be a nice piece to come in and sit behind T.Y. Hilton for a year, get some of the crafty veteran moves. They've got Pittman, they've got Paris Campbell, who's got potential. But, I think Rashad Bateman getting Carson Wentz, their new quarterback, another weapon. Rashad Bateman feels like almost like a home run pick here for the Colts.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny you mentioned that because I see a lot of Michael Pittman in Rashad Bateman's game. And I love this prospect. He's actually, it's 1A, 1B, 1C for me between these top three guys. And so, I think he can come in and be an immediate playmaker. So for fantasy, this isn't a great pick. For me, I'm not super excited about it because I love this player and I want to draft him in rookie startups. And if he goes to the Colts, then, I'm probably going to be a little bit more hesitant just because there's not as much opportunity. But again, he could obviously be one of those receivers out. Paris Campbell hasn't been able to stay healthy. They've had Zach Pascal and, Eric Ebro, not Eric Ebro, but Jack Doyle and, Trey Burton. These were guys that were playmakers on this team this year. So if you can bring in a talent like Rashad Bateman, I actually like this pick, but I wanted to highlight what Craig said in the comments because I do also like an edge rusher here. I think that I talked about it at the beginning of the Colts, right? Like you add to that defense, really like make this team unstoppable to, you can't run against them. You can't pass against them. What are you going to do? And then they've got enough offensive pieces that they can put together some wins. So I'm good with either pick here. I want you to decide for us, Dingus, because you're the tiebreaker here.
Okay, so let's go through the Colts mindset here. Offensive tackle. They just had a big one retire. Tevin Jenkins ain't going to go slide any further than the Pittsburgh Steelers. He's going to go by pick 24, guaranteed. There's no doubt in my mind he's gone by the Pittsburgh Steelers. So I think they need them. Rousseau's still there. You still need that edge rusher. Bateman would be a nice little compliment there. You've got T.Y. Hilton's probably on his way out. But you got to remember, the Colts have cap. So maybe this is that team. We mentioned earlier with the Bengals about attacking free agency and getting those tackles and those guards and stuff. Maybe the Colts go out there because they've got the money. They can spend that. I would love to see them pair up DeForest Buckner with Christian Barmore and plug that middle up because it looked like last year that they wanted to punch you in the mouth and run the ball down your throat. It's kind of how the Colts wanted to do it. Play good defense, run the ball. Carson Wentz is not going to chuck that ball as a deep ball passer. I think that's where Bateman's going to really accelerate is on those deep balls. So I think he's not quite as nice of a pairing with Carson Wentz as we'd like to think. That offense there last year, was it Phillip Rivers or was it the offense that went with a dink and dunk? Because we know Phillip Rivers is not the biggest arm. Carson Wentz, he may still be a little scattered. I want to keep giving him an offensive line. I'm okay taking Tevin Jenkins here.
Let's do it.
Or Barmore.
All right, Tev. I'm good with either of those guys, but let's go Tevin Jenkins. I like the point you made about their offensive line retiring, and I think this is offensive line pieces are foundational. So, if these guys hit, you truly have a player that can make a difference for a long time, for the next 10 to, sometimes 15 years. So I like this pick here. If they add that up, it boosts what we can expect from Jonathan Taylor and, whoever's going to be the quarterback, or sorry, Carson Wentz. I'm thinking 2 weeks ago before he was traded. But yeah, let's go Tevin Jenkins here. Boost Carson Wentz's confidence and shore up that offensive line. Tennessee Titans, pick number 22. So I actually have them trading out of this pick because, again, I think that you're in a pocket here where you could move back like 3 or 4 spots and still grab an elite edge rusher. One of these linebackers. I almost see Owasu as as a hybrid player. It's somebody who can play off the edge, but then also bounce out wide and cover slot receivers and tight ends and whatnot. So I actually. I don't hate that pick here. That's definitely a need of theirs. Their offensive, their defense was, one of the worst in the NFL last year, stopping the run and stopping the pass. So I actually like Christian Barmore here, as well as either of these edge players. What do you think, Dingus?
I agree. I think it's got to be an edge here. It has to be an edge. They have to address the edge. They could not sack the quarterback last year. They were able to get some pressure. There's a reason they went out and got Jadeveon Clowney in there. There's a reason they're linked to J.J. Watt right now in the rumor mill. You've got Rousseau, I think, would be the best fit there. Jalen Phillips then. You got Aziz Ujulari there out of Georgia, I believe. You got Ostu. You've got my guy there, Awi out of Penn State. You've got 5 edge rushers, so you can trade back. You have those options to trade back and get the picks. If we're staying here, I want Rousseau right now. I think he's the best fit for the Titans.
Yeah, no, I like that pick. I think edge is the move here for the Titans. I think he is the best edge prospect on the board. So I say we lock him in and move on to the Jets.
All right, I agree. Boom. So we went quarterback with Zach Wilson with the 102. Our second pick here in the first round. Are you guys, again, addressing the offense here? We talked about Rashad Bateman a little bit earlier. I actually like him a lot going to the Jets, and then they'll probably bring in a free agent wide receiver as well. They have all of this cap space, or we can go back to one of these edge players that we're talking about, Jalen Phillips or Aziz Ujulari. What do you think, DBrown? Are you on edge here, or are you on edge, or are you going receiver or even corner?
I'm itching for a team that could use Rashad Bateman, and the Jets fall under that category as far as I'm concerned. I love Denzel Mims and what he can bring to the table. But outside of that wide receiver room is wide open. Give me a guy like Rashad Bateman on the other side, and I don't care who's under center, whether it is Darnold or Wilson, who we got earlier. Having 2 weapons like that could really spring an offense wide open. And I think Zach Wilson is a good fit to have a couple of guys like that.
I think the other guy to consider here too is Travis Etienne, out of Clemson, running back. They're looking for a running back there. I personally would take Javonte if I were Javonte Williams if I were the Jets here. But I know consensus and a lot of teams have Etienne ranked higher. So I wanted to throw both those guys out there. Dingus, give me your opinion before we make this pick.
Okay, so before you make this pick, before you lock anything in. I think running back is out of the question. You're going to have an early pick in the second round. I think that's where you get with Javonte Williams or Travis Etienne early in the second round. So I think you take that out of play. I think Jalen Phillips at edge is a fantastic. Newsome out of Northwestern at corner is another great option here for them too. Man, if you've already got Justin Fields in place, or Zach Wilson, like we said, sorry, I think Justin Fields should be the pick. But if you go with how we're talking there, give them a quarterback in the first pick. You've probably accumulated some other picks here in the Sam Darnold trade. You've probably got another 3rd round pick coming up too. Let's go and give them Rashad Bateman to go with Jamison Crowder and Denzel Mims. You've got a good slot receiver, and then you've got 2 big dogs on the outside and Denzel Mims, Rashad Bateman to grow with Wilson going forward. And I think the Jets are in an interesting situation. I'm not sure what their capital is in the second round, But I do think they can go with a running back early in the second if they wanted to address that. They could also go tight end in the second. So now you've got your wide receiver to go, Bateman, to go with Crowder as well as Mims. You've got your running back possibly in the second round. If you grab a tight end like a Brevin Jordan or a Furmouth there out of Penn State, you're going to have a pretty potent offense for Zach Wilson to work with.
Well, so I just pulled this up here, Dingus, and they've got the second pick in the second round, also the second pick in the 66th overall in the third round, and they also have the 74th and the 87th overall pick, both in the third round. So lots of draft capital there, and like you said, with the Sam Darnold trade, assuming that that's what happens, they're gonna build a lot of draft equity, in those middling rounds there. So. I like grabbing Rashad Bateman here. I think he's a great fit for this offense. He's a great playmaker. And, you can say what you want about it, but I have always been a fan of teams that will take a quarterback and a receiver in the same draft, let them grow together, let them develop, build that chemistry. The Jets aren't trying to win a Super Bowl next year. Don't kid yourself. They're trying to build a franchise here. So, go get these guys who can grow together. I love this pick. Let's lock it in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Rashad Bateman, I feel like it's kind of the last of this tier of wide receivers. It's kind of a nice little drop off after Bateman. I have to feel like one of the two running backs in this next tier will potentially make it back to them at the beginning of the second round. So I'm pulling the trigger on Bateman and hoping that either ETN or
Devonta.
Will make it back to us at the second round. So I like that pick here. Let's lock it in for sure.
Well, I'll have you know that I would, if I'm Pittsburgh, I'm now taking Javonte Williams here with the 24th overall pick.
That's so
I love this landing spot. I think it fits well with where his draft capital is at. It's a little bit of a reach, but honestly, this guy's a difference maker. He's a real 3-down back, in my opinion. I see him in the same tier as Najee, and I'm all about this kid. So I think he goes to a run heavy offense that already has these elite playmakers on the outside. All they have to do is insert this running back here. You could argue they go O-line, but I really think that, they need to address this running back need. They've tried to do it in multiple drafts this year with second and third round picks in Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland. And, I don't know if it's just, a playing time thing or whatnot, but yeah, I like this, especially for fantasy. Where are you at, Matt? Craig says that the Steelers have bigger needs.
Yeah, and I agree with Craig. I think they do have bigger needs, and I think offensive line is still the first need you need to address. You can stick a good running back behind that line. They ain't going to go nowhere. It ain't going to do you any good. And I think you need to go towards, and you got to look at Jalen Mayfield out of Michigan, Alex Leatherfoot out of Alabama, or even Liam Eckenberg out of Notre Dame. Out of those three, I'd probably lean Mayfield as my pick, but depends on what the board actually shows. I think if you're the Steelers, you've got Ben for another year. It sounds like he's going to start for another season, mostly because they got no other options. Let's be honest. Mason Rudolph is definitely not the answer. And Duck Hodges, he's definitely not the answer. So you've got nothing there. And Dwayne Haskins. Let's not forget what Dwayne Haskins is there. So maybe Ben Roethlisberger is the bridge quarterback for Dwayne Haskins. Who knows? But it ain't going to mean nothing if you don't have an offensive line. I want to get the Steelers an offensive lineman. I'd go with Jalen Mayfield. All
right. And what do you think, DBrown?
I mean, I don't mind that. It doesn't sound as sexy as a running back getting in there, but running back is a position that I'm highly sought after as far as Pittsburgh goes. And one of these guys here sounds pretty nice there. I'd love to take a little bit of pressure off of Big Ben and establish that lucrative running back position in Pittsburgh that we were accustomed to. Just a couple of years ago, sounds really good. But, if they pass on running back here, what are some viable options? Because, the run game needs to be addressed in Pittsburgh.
So,
one way or another, are we looking at a free agent acquisition? What kind of prospects will be left here coming back to the back end of the second round?
Back into the second, I think Michael Carter's still in play. I really think Michael Carter, you're going to be able to get him. And there's not much of a drop-off, in my opinion, from Michael Carter and Javonte Williams. I think he's right there. I think Michael Carter is the real deal. I think we're looking at a Ronnie Brown, Cadillac Williams type of thing, like coming out of Auburn between these two running backs, for those who are old like I am. And I'm okay with them punting running back in the first round, because I think there's going to be some viable options late in the second.
Well, I'm on board with addressing the O-line and, playing the game and seeing who we can fall to us in the second round for Pittsburgh.
Well, it is a clear need, and like we talked about earlier, when you hit on an offensive lineman, especially in the first round, these guys can be difference makers and franchise changers. So let's lock in Jalen Mayfield. We'll see where these other two running backs fall if they are taken in the first round. Boom. So with our last team with 2 picks in the first round, we got the Jags. Obviously, we addressed the quarterback need earlier with Trevor Lawrence. Are you guys going again? Are you taking the second player in this second tier, in Liam Eichberg, or are you going on defense here? And I think that there's a huge value out of Notre Dame product. Owasu right now also could address inside defensive lineman with Christian Barrymore. We talked about him a little bit, and then also both edge defenders in Jalen Phillips and Ojulari. Dingus, where are you at? Where's your head at?
Jacksonville's sitting nice and pretty here. My 2 options here, I'm going to narrow it down to Barrymore and Owasu here. Barrymore, I love that interior presence that he brings. He is the number 1 D tackle in this draft, bar none. And he can give you a pass rush from the interior. He can kind of do the same things that Aaron Donald can do. He's not Aaron Donald. Don't say that he's Aaron Donald. He can do the same thing. He can get after the quarterback from the interior. And there's nothing worse than interior pressure for a quarterback. That said, I'm going Owasu simply because Urban Meyer wants to play with speed. Jeremy Owusu-Koramoah or Kamora, whatever. I'm going to butcher his name. I still can't even say Tua's name properly. Let's be honest. He's going to give the Jaguars what they had in that linebacker core when they had Telvin Smith. You guys remember Telvin Smith and what he did for that linebacking core? How he was a stat patter for the linebackers? Give me Owasu here. He can drop back. He can do coverage. He can play basically a safety. He can rush you off the edge. He can give you a little bit of everything. And the value here, they're taking the best player available. They don't have a need at linebacker, but he gives you a little bit of everything. I think the value is going to be too much there for Urban Meyer to pass up. He wants to play with speed, and this player can give you speed.
Yeah, that's exactly what he offers. Like he's listed as a linebacker, but I just have him down as a hybrid player because he really, he's fast. He can cover, I said it earlier, he can cover tight ends. He can cover slot backs, bumping out, but he can also rush the passer, and he's very good at it. So I love this pick here. This team has holes all over the defense. So I just think, go BPA, especially when you have a hybrid player like this, and, take Owasu. You cool with that, DBrown?
Yeah, I don't mind it. I like Barrymore here. I do like addressing the defensive side of the ball here, but BPA here makes sense here. I don't mind adding the versatility to the defensive side of Jacksonville's defense.
All right. There we go. So now I think this, this is glaring at looking at us right in the face is the edge. This was the biggest need for Cleveland this year. They have 2 of, the top 4 prospects at the position, both follow them. They can take their pick. I would be happy if I was Cleveland sitting pretty right now because I would feel great about this pick here. This is my target. Where are you at, Matt?
I just want to address Coach Craig here. He talked about Miles Jack being a possible cut. They got Schobert. They've got Miles Jack. So Owasu's going to be that kind of a jack of all trades. And Matt, picture him more of the Isaiah Simmons that the Cardinals have. It's going to take a while for him to get his spot in that lineup, but you're going to be able to move him up and down and all over, kind of a joker kind of thing. As far as the Browns go, they play more of a 4-3 front. Give me Jalen Phillips here. I think he's the best fit for what they run and what they need.
Yeah, I like it. What do you think, DBrown?
Yeah, I like edge or, once again, Christian Barmore that's sitting up there interior-wise. I'm good with either one here, but I do think they need to, once again, work the defensive side of the ball here, D-line in particular.
Yeah, well, that's what's so exciting about these picks is this could go in any order between these guys. It all depend on how these team meetings go and how they show up. in their actual meeting. So it'll be really interesting to see how this plays out. Let's go and lock it in with Jalen Phillips. I think we're all in consensus. It could be any of these guys, but I like him here. And I also want to save Christian Barmore for our next pick because I think this is a great fit with the Baltimore Ravens. I think he can go in, fill that void right in the middle of the field. Like you said, Matt, anytime you can get pressure from the middle of the field, this is already a very good defense, and now you're adding that kind of pressure. It takes a lot off of the offense, so they don't have to do so much, right? We all talk about regression for the Ravens offense this year, and yes, while they did regress, we did expect that. They were also winning games in 2019 because their offense was so prolific. They had just made all those moves. They had just traded for Marcus Peters, but they're still ironing things out. But they were they were just prolific on offense. Teams couldn't keep up with them, and so I think if you go in here, you address that need. I think this is BPA. The best player at the position, and you're getting it at the back of the first round. I love this pick. Where are you guys at?
So they're losing Matt. But they could lose Matt Judon here. They're going to have a need for that edge position. But the Ravens never draft for need. They've always been good enough where they don't have to draft for need. They go with best player available, and Christian Barmore is the best player available.
Yeah. I love that point too, because that's so true. They always do. Like last year, there was glaring needs, and they took Patrick Queen because they just said it was the best player that fell to them. And look at how elite that defense has been, since with that method in mind. So let's go in. We'll take Christian Barmore here. We're getting ready to wrap this up, guys. So the final 5 picks, we got the Saints here at number 28. I think that this pick could go
linebacker
a bunch of different ways, but I want to hear from you guys. I've been talking a lot off the hop. So DBrown, tell me your favorite player for the Saints to take here.
I really feel like the Saints need a linebacker here. They've kind of been lacking at the position. Demario Davis has been holding them down, but he's pretty old and a savvy veteran at this point, but not much left in the tank. Outside of him, they don't really have a whole lot of depth there. I think now's the time. I like actually both of these linebackers, both Bolton and Collins here. I think either one could be a potential fit for the Saints. But I'm open to hearing what you guys have to say.
If I was to go linebacker, it'd be Zaven Collins for me. Tulsa, fantastic linebacker, big presence, wants to thump you, love it. It talks about it says here that their need is at edge, and while they kind of do, they have Davenport there, they got Jordan there, they've got Hendrickson came out of nowhere last year and played extremely well. I don't think they need to go edge here. Newsom's an option at corner. I kind of like the hometown kid here. I kind of like sending Terrace Marshall a wide receiver, pair him with Michael Thomas, and seeing what kind, because you got Taysom Hill or maybe Jameis Winston. We don't know how that's going to play out yet. My co-host Calvin and Hobby there, he would tell you it's going to be Taysom Hill until he's blue in the face. Either way, I don't think Traquan Smith's an answer. I don't think Emmanuel Sanders is going to be there much longer. If you want to entice a new quarterback eventually to your city, give him some weapons already in place. And if you have any, maybe you bring Teddy Bridgewater back for you. I don't know what they're going to do, but you know what? I'm kind of leaning here. I like the linebacker option. They don't really have a quarterback set, but if it's going to be Winston or it's going to be Taysom Hill, let's give him some options there to throw to the outside. Let's give him Terrace Marshall for me.
Let's do it. They need some more receiving options outside of Michael Thomas. They really don't have anybody, so it's wide open. I think he could come in. Be an option for whoever it is under center day one. So let's lock him in. I like him here.
The Saints also don't have a 3rd round pick. They just got their 1st and their 2nd. So, to me, I think this is a great pick because you don't have a whole lot to work with here. You got to address the needs that are on your team. Like you said, who do they have outside of Michael Thomas? Like Deontay Harris? If Taysom Hill's playing quarterback, he can't catch the ball too. So let's lock it in. Terrace Marshall here. I love it. And my Packers at number 29. I kind of would like to just take this away here. I think there's a few ways we can go with this pick. Again, I kind of like just BPA and just taking one of these linebackers here. I love Zaven Collins. I think he can bring some electric energy to our defense. You talked about how hard this guy can hit. Well, now you get to do it every single year when it gets December in Lambeau. I think this is a good pick for the Packers here. Shore up the defense. Where are you guys at?
Yeah, I like linebacker here for the pack too.
You know what? I would love to give Aaron Rodgers some weapons on offense. I would love to give him a wide receiver here, but we know that's not going to happen.
Free agency. I'm just holding out hope.
Well, we mentioned Tony. I think Tony's going to get overdrafted. We talked about Elijah Moore would be a fantastic. I think Elijah Moore would be a fantastic round 3 wide receiver, possibly. I think he gives you that Randall Cobb-esque. So that's a target maybe to think about in late second, maybe third, depending on where they are. If they have to trade up for that. They just cut Lindsley. Is that the name?
Yeah, Lindsley. Yeah.
So if you just cut, and I think he was a guard tackle. We've seen what happened in Green Bay before they went against Tampa Bay. They had injury after injury after injury along that offensive line, and I think you need to address that offensive line. And maybe you go center, maybe you go Leatherhead, maybe you got to get a lineman here. I think you got to keep Aaron Rodgers upright. You got to keep him happy. If you're not going to give him weapons, I think you got to go line. And I think most of their need is going to be in that interior offensive line, offensive tackle. You got an offensive tackle. You've got Eckenberg still on the board. And I think you got to lean Eckenberg or Leatherhead here, one or the other. I would give him the Notre Dame tackle, though.
Yeah, I lean Eckerhead out of the 2 as well. Which way do you go, DBrown?
Yeah, no, I'm good with you guys. Let's lock him in.
All right, boom. Locking it in. Pick 30, the Buffalo Bills. I'm not standing for it, guys. I know they need help on defense, but I want Javonte Williams drafted in the first round, and clearly they're not getting it done with what they have. Josh Allen can't be your RB1 on this team. This is more of a fantasy pick. I love Javonte Williams, and like I said, I don't want him to slip out of the first round, so I'm cool with letting this go, and we can discuss him with these next 2 picks. Our Super Bowl champs and the previous Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So where are you guys at with the Bills? Because clearly their biggest need is on defense. There is some fantastic defensive players on the board. So logically, it makes sense to go defense here. That is the move to make. What do you guys think?
I think you're going to see Javonte Williams slide out of the first round. I honestly believe that.
I know.
See one running back draft in the first round.
It's rare to see more. It's rare to see more.
We know they're looking for a linebacker. We know they could use an offensive tackle. We know they're in the market for J.J. Watt. Well, why would you offer – and J.J. Watt, fantastic player. We're talking about cap crunch here right now. J.J. is going to get $14 to $16 million. It's going to happen. So why would you pay a $14 to $16 million for an edge rusher when you're looking at Julari sitting right there? It's a no-brainer. They plug that one in for me. You could go Awi. You could go Asowi. Don't even make me pronounce their names. I'm horrible when it comes to names, man. I need like the spelling and everything.
You need like they do it on Wikipedia where it breaks it down for you. Gives you by the syllable.
Oh man, I'm horrible. I'm horrible with names.
Yeah, I do like this pick here. Like I said, this makes the most sense. They needed help on that defensive line. This is a good pick here. It's the logical pick here. I say we lock it in. DBrown?
Yeah.
All right, our last 2 picks. So the Kansas City Chiefs here, do they surprise us again and take a running back at the end of the first round, or do they attack offensive line, potentially go after one of these top 2 these linebackers left on the board, and Nick Bolton and Xavier Collins, multiple team needs, or they could go, go and draft Javonte Williams, or even, reach on one of these wide receivers. Sammy Watkins is going to be gone. Really only have Mecole Hardman behind him. Demarcus Robinson's a free agent. Dingus, where are you at with this?
So interior offensive line is probably the smart play. It really is. They definitely have a need in the interior. We've seen them get dinged last year. They got, what's his name now? It's slipping my mind. Former Raider Assimile. He came over. He got hurt. They had Toure there, the Canadian doctor. He went back up north there to Montreal to help out with this pandemic. They got dinged hard with the offensive line losses this year. But here's the thing. Here's the beauty about being the Chiefs. They didn't need a running back last year. They really didn't. They had Damian Williams still in their hip pocket. They didn't need it. Their offense does not need a running back. So why don't we have some fun? They could let Sammy Watkins go because Sammy Watkins is not good. I don't care. That's going to be the title of my book. Whenever I release a book, Sammy Watkins is not good.
I want to get in on that book.
Let's go for another wide receiver here to go with a Tyreek Hill. Let's give him another freak of nature that can do some stuff with the ball. Let's go Rondell Moore.
Ooh.
Can we have some fun with Rondell Moore in that offense?
Yes,
you think you have mismatches already. You got mismatches across with Kelsey, with Tyreek Hill, McCall Hardman with the speed. You throw Rondell Moore in there, and you've got yourself a Madden offense that cannot be stopped.
I like it. I would opt to do the much later Elijah Moore, which they could probably get in the second round. But I'm cool with Rondell Moore here because it is it's a nice fantasy pick. And, if there's any offense that he's going to go to and be able to put up a top 24 season, it's probably the Kansas City Chiefs.
Lock it in, Jules.
Let's lock that in. Boom.
Here we go with the Super Bowl champions themselves. They've got plenty of needs. Where are we going with the 32nd and last pick of the first round of the 2021 NFL draft?
Dingus, I want you to take it away first, man. Well, Barrymore would have been the perfect fit for them. To replace the Sue there. I'm getting a little bit of feedback here. Sorry, guys. To replace Sue would be a fantastic thing for Barrymore. I think Edge is definitely – you got Shaq Barrett, who could possibly be gone. JPP could possibly be gone. Even if they don't go, JPP is getting up there in age. I think you need to address that edge here. I think Tampa Bay is one of those teams that could get free agents in very cheap in the offseason as teams chase that ring. So
that's the Super Bowl discount.
Absolutely it is. They definitely don't need a running back. Well, they do, but they're not going to address that.
But they won't do it, yeah.
No. They definitely do not need a linebacker. They've got two of the best linebackers in the game. I think it's the Texas edge defender here to close out the round one here, Joseph Asu.
I agree.
Yeah, I think out of the players remaining, it makes the most sense. So I'm all for it, man. Let's lock it in with our 32nd pick of the first round, Joseph Asasu.
Yeah.
Boom.
Good work.
We did it.
Good work.
We freaking did it. There we go, guys. Look at it. We got it all right there.
See that, NFL? We got it under 2 hours, okay? We got it under 2 hours. We don't need a 4-hour day one of the draft. We don't need to give teams a 15, 20-minute clock. We were able to pound that thing out in no time.
Yeah, my DMs are open.
That's a dingus spike right there, too.
That is a dingus spike. With authority.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I appreciate both of you jumping on. Before we get out of here, I just quickly want to give a quick word from our sponsor, Monkey Knife Fight. Use promo code TNFF, and on your first deposit, you'll be matched up to $50. They got all different kinds of sports over there. You can do MLB, NHL, MLS. You can do European soccer or European football, whatever you want to call it, for our UK friends that are listening. But definitely go check out Monkey Knife Fight. They got all different kinds of prop bets, and they are sponsoring our show. So huge thanks to them. All right, guys. I appreciate you both coming on. It has been a pleasure. This went a little longer than I was anticipating, so I appreciate your patience and you guys sticking on and powering through it with me. Like you said, we did do that much faster than the NFL does, so at least we have that in our back pocket. Any final words before we get out of here, DBrown? You start.
Jules, it was a pleasure. Matt Donnelly, I'm glad we got to get together for this one. I think we kicked ass on this mock. Big shout out to Craig and brother Matt there in the comments, staying with us the whole time. Appreciate you guys, man. You guys are the ones that make it worth it. And Matt, where can everybody find you at, man?
Well, after you guys get done with this show, I know Calvin's running a team spotlight for the Dynasty Vipers on my Twitter account. So go check out my name, Matt Donnelly, FF. It's on the Periscope there right now. We've got some people down in Arizona. We got Unicorn Fringe that you guys are very familiar with the True North. She's on the show right now. Yeah. So head over there. They're talking Arizona Cardinals, Sea of Red. You're going to want to catch that out. Catch us on the dynastyvipers.com. catch us on the YouTube. We got some good stuff. This next week, I think, let's see here. What day are we on? I don't even remember anymore. It's been a crazy whirlwind here. Let's call March 1st. We got Bogman from Bogman and Welsh coming on Monday. We got Mark Schofield there coming in on Tuesday. The quarterback whisperer, he's going to be fantastic. You're going to want to check out those shows, as well as these team spotlight series are coming down all the time. Head over to idpguys.com. We are going to be releasing our draft magazine again, our second annual. I'm kind of helping with that project there. I've helped last year. I'm going to help again this year. We're profiling players, something like 62 on offense, 62 on defense. You're going to get about 125 in total prospects profiled there. So you're going to make sure you check that out. Man, we got all kinds of stuff. ViridianGlobal.com. Head it over there. Feel the venom. Fear the stash. You know what I'm saying? We got all kinds of goods over there. We've partnered up as well as everyone else, it seems like, in the business. Sons of Dynasty, The Point After, True North Fantasy Football, the Dynasty Vipers, you name it. We're all over that, ViridianGlobal.com. You see it down there on the bottom of your screen. Check that out. Get yourself some.
100%. I was just over on the Viridian Global page, and you guys got some wicked gear over there. One second here. I'm going to share my screen so you guys can actually see what it is that they've got going on over there at Viridian Global, because some of these Fear the Stash shirts and sweaters and whatnot that they got are just phenomenal. So huge shout out to Will
story.
and Master June. Yeah.
You gotta look right. Yeah, that's right. That stash on the shirt you see there, that's this one here, basically, from Bob Gilchrist. He took my mustache, he slapped it on a t-shirt.
Boom. Look at that.
Yeah, those look good, man. Viridian.
Look at that. Just beautiful. So definitely go check it out. You can find my stuff over there as well as the Sons of Dynasty. All of our gear is over there. Huge shout out to Will and Master June. You can find it all down below at ViridianGlobal.com. I've got that link down there. And yeah, boys, thanks again for joining us. Again, thanks to Craig and brother Matt. Huge shout out to you guys. I appreciate you guys sticking with us this whole time and lighting up that comment section. Like DBrown said, we couldn't do it without you. So have a fantastic Friday night. Enjoy it and have a good weekend, boys.
Hey, in the words of Strange Brew, take off, eh?